Hello, Lake Brantley seniors. I would love to thank you guys for being here with me today so that we can talk about the importance of etiquette in the deaf community. Our society will only work if we're all working together, and studies have shown it's very important for students your age to develop the skills to empathize with people who are differently abled, as well as go on in your lives to potentially advocate for these communities who are not always represented. Today I'm going to be talking about some basic things that you can do to include deaf individuals in our everyday society and conversations and communication. I believe this information is very important, and I'm very happy you guys are here with me today. We're going to start out with a basic rule. If there is sensitive information being shared, such as medical records or banking information, it is very important to have a trusted interpreter there and to not try to assist somebody who is exchanging this personal information. If you come across somebody who seems to be deaf or hard of hearing, it's very important to feel out the situation immediately and try and understand what they are most comfortable with to use to communicate with you. The options can be ASL, gesturing or body language, writing or speaking. If you are having trouble understanding how they're trying to communicate with you, try your absolute best to let them know. Also, try and remember to not make decisions for people just because they cannot hear you and they cannot be part of a conversation as easily as you can. And always try and include them in making the decision, whether it's how they would like to communicate or really anything else that's going on. When approaching an individual who may be deaf or hard of hearing, try to get their attention before you start speaking. It's very impolite to just start speaking assuming that they know that what's going on, and just try not to put them in a position where it seems like they're being rude, because you not getting their attention is not their fault, that's your fault. So you can try and get their attention by lightly tapping on their shoulder, or even better, if they are with someone who may be hearing, try to get their attention so they can tap their shoulder. Just because it's sometimes strange to go up to a stranger and tap them, and I know that can feel very invasive for a lot of people. Some other options are just extending your arm out and doing a nice little wave. Don't look panicked, it can send the wrong signals. If you are in a setting that allows you to do so, maybe a flicker of the lights could work as well to get their attention. Or you could simply find someone who's in their line of sight, try to get their attention, and then they can motion to the individual for you. If you are working with an interpreter and somebody who is hard of hearing or deaf, try to make eye contact with the person you are talking to, not the interpreter, because it can seem very disingenuous if I'm talking here but me and you are having a conversation. A certain percentage of the deaf community does use lip reading as a major form of understanding what hearing and speaking people are saying. So it's very important that you line up with them, you try and hold eye contact, and try to speak very clearly so that if they can read your lips, they can do it with the most clarity. This can also include avoiding chewing gum during the conversation, smoking, or just really any abnormalities with your mouth. I know it can be tricky sometimes with deaf individuals because as hearing people, it can seem like if we talk louder, maybe they will be able to comprehend it more, but this really does nothing. And if they are wearing a hearing aid of sorts, it can distort how it translates to them, because the hearing aid will balance out the tone and the volume of your voice, and it can just become distorted. It's also very important, if you are in the room with deaf individuals or a single person, do not ever lean over to talk to someone and cover your mouth. It is seen as wildly inappropriate, and it kind of just seems like a punch in the face to somebody who cannot hear, because now you can't see my mouth, but I'm talking and now you're left out. And that is not fair at all. And you should never obstruct your face in any way when you are talking with a deaf person or around a deaf person. Now, these are just a few points when it comes to deaf etiquette. There are hundreds of articles online, maybe thousands, where they explain to you how you can be most effective in communicating with someone who is in the deaf community. But I believe these points that I've brought up can lay a very good groundwork for how you should treat this community and how you should act around them so that we are being respectful to everyone.